Che. What's your team, Debbie?
Well, speaking of strong teams, right? 7, I know you want this one here. Alpha 7 is here, and they got a big goal they are hunting.
2026 might be the year that we might establish the greatest team so far in PUBG Mobile Esports. We're talking about a PMWC champion. We're talking about a 2025 PMGC champion. And they're able to get that Grand Slam, Max. Honestly, the best team of all time.
I mean, PMGO, if they make it happen here, I think the GOAT status could be in the cards for the likes of Alpha 7. I feel like you in particular will be happy to call them that, I think.
Yes, 100%. I'll get to Brazil.
Yeah, but of course, looking at the other teams, you have S2G here. We already talked about it, right? This organization has won in the past here during PMGC in Indonesia, Jakarta. Different roster, right? Except for HamCG. Are we going to see them try and reclaim that past glory? Because they failed to qualify to a lot of global events as of recently. So that's a team that we know has a lot of expectations. They need to perform.
And we were talking about Team Flash earlier. I mean, you can see the top 16 PMGC. I know it looks bad, okay? But that team wasn't even supposed to be there because of that crate that you were talking about, Max. But they got that confidence. And so far, I want to see what Win, the standout player for this squad, is going to be able to do here in Group A.
It's actually very interesting because off the back of PMGC alone, they've got so many fans now. Like, this team came out of nowhere just last year, realistically, and now just dominating out of nowhere. So Flash looking like a potential contender for that #1 spot.
Well, you know what? They're going to have to do it here quick, guys. These are today's matches. Normally, we're just like, yeah, it's okay. This is what we normally play. But I'll tell you what, this is it, right? So one rondo will be played, and that could be make or break for so many of these teams here, 7.
It is the make or break for a lot of teams, especially for teams that like to start hot and stay in that momentum. They need to be able to get those eliminations. Now, I don't want to see a team end up camping and not end up getting any eliminations. And I'm calling it out right now because that's just not gonna work, especially on just 6 matches on one day. I need to see at least minimum 5 eliminations and try to get into a top 5, and I definitely have some teams in my head.
Hey, Hottrix, you said the C word. He said camping. You can't say that.
That's right.
That's illegal.
That's illegal.
We used to camp before. Oh, that team.
Exactly. Well, you know what? Rondo is so incredibly important here, guys, because I mean, one good solid Rondo match could just lock you in for that next stage. And one team in particular I know that you were really impressed with when it comes to Rondo is Aura, right?
I mean, Aurora have been looking really good onto that one. I mean, so many teams have been able to really hard focus their strategy on that one. But Aurora, they hot drop you in, and they have this really cool strategy. Top goes for the quick recall, and then they kind of alternate the entirety of that hot drop to try and just get as many players as possible in that city to get, of course, high eliminations. But they're not the only one. There are just so many teams that on Rondo are looking so damn good.
I mean, some of those teams, 4 Thrives. We gotta talk about 4 Thrives a little bit because this squad is usually a squad that ends up performing really well on the first rondo of a tournament. They have won it in the past, and I'm hoping that that's gonna continue. And I'm intrigued because you and I were talking to them, Max, and they were still trying to figure out who was the player that was gonna go to recall. They said T24. Somebody ended up saying IQ. Let's see what actually ends up happening for that squad.
I think Falak also wanted to be the recall
Do
player.
not send Falak to the recall.
He's the
You're gonna send
MVP. Put him in the fight.
You're gonna send your best player to a recall. I'm actually gonna be livid if that happens.
Okay, but genuinely, we talk to so many players, coaches, analysts in the background. So many teams are so adamant this event to commit to the hot drop because you go for the 3-1 split. You lose 3 players, guess what? You got a second chance at life. You can still get a bunch of points on board. But if you do get a good rondo, that one map alone here, Hottrix, could be a one-way ticket straight into the finals.
Hey, speaking of, you're talking to some of these players and coaches, right? I know you got a chance to talk with Coach Knight before.
Everyone
this
like
told you what he was kind of thinking about Rondo, right?
So they want a hot drop, but passively. It might sound a bit weird. So they want a hot drop from a distance around, right?
Which team, boys?
Hopefully none of the players are listening and getting the strats. But no, they want to actually third party it from a distance and maybe send it when teams are at their weakest.
And for everybody that doesn't know where Knight coaches, where does Knight coach?
Furia.
There you go. And it is a super experienced coach. Now, some of the other squads that I actually want to keep an eye on, it's going to be GOAT. Because GOAT, even though they ended up getting that second place in ECA finals, this was actually one of their weakest performing maps. They ended up getting an average placement of 12th place in only 6 eliminations. And when you actually convert that into just points, ladies and gentlemen, it's just elimination points. That means you end up with just 6 points, and that's just not gonna cut it in the situation that we're currently here in PMGO Season 1.
They can do well on Rondo the day we have the hovercraft on Rondo. Moxie loves that hovercraft, but it's only on the Wrangler and Miramar right now, so maybe a future update.
But it looks like we are about to get started here for match number 1. It's Rondo, the only one we're playing today here, Seven.
I'm excited. I want to see those plane paths. Are we going to be getting a double plane path?
Give me a double plane on top of Neox Factory. Oh, it's a single one. But it is on Yulin and Testrak. It is reachable, so meaning Yulin, Neox is going to get real busy here.
Something we're going to keep an eye on too for some of these drops is I wonder if anybody is going to be targeting those solo players. Because this is something that we saw happen last year.
Crazy, guys, crazy. Like and sub, okay?
Don't forget to like and sub. I think it's going to end up happening.
I think if you want to try and weaken a potential competitor for that top 6, it's maybe the best way to do it. Send 3-4 players on one solo. Unless it's Refus, you might win it.
Not only that, I mean, you might end up just doing a full squad elimination, and if you don't have to worry about the squad anymore because that's the last player of them trying to get that recall, it could end up working out massively in favor. Now, let's go look at some of the drops here that we're seeing. We're seeing Pandem there with the 3-1. Any jumps that are currently just popping out.
As of right now, no, we're just seeing real hectic drops on Yulin. Top 6 Testrak, Neox Factory is going to be reached by a few of the squads. I'm not seeing Aurora right now. Where did Aurora go?
That's the question. You can see Alpha 7, they got a whole spot to themselves right there. They're looking good, but the action has begun. And take it to our casters, John Allen and Blake.
Thank you very much, guys. Over on the desk, we're already on board with Furia here, down on the south side near Yulin Gardens. These hot drops are popping off. We're ready for the action.
We're ready.
We're in it. Welcome to PMGO Season 1. We're here in Indonesia. It's going to be a fantastic little time here for us. Furia, like we just said, aggressively, passively, hot dropping, a different type of style that seems to be working out quite well at the start here at least. Ayala doesn't even need to be the one to pull the trigger. Another player from 721. Gonna get clipped down now. They're on one player alive, but remember, they can't go for those recalls. They do have a player over towards Hangshan. They will be back in the fight. Furia wanting to stay alive as 4, trying to play it 3 on the spot here. It looks like they're gonna survive in the center of this one with Aurora potentially around the corner. Indeed. I mean, Aurora was able to pick up at least one of the eliminations there. They were able to get 2 on board. One player fairly low on HP. You've got Doc over towards the eastern side of this. He's playing in just underneath Neox Factory. Has himself a recall beacon there to work with, but it is Ida. Swain going down here. This is over on the other side of the map. This is far over towards the northeast. This is around Testrak Neox Factory. Alula locking horns with Ida in Testrak. It looks very deserted actually over towards Testrak to what we may have expected here. Yulin is popping off, but even then, a lot of teams sending out to the 4 wins blank. It seems like maybe people have decided to take a little bit more of a reserved approach here.
Mario, yes.
Do take a knock on the forefront against Hora. As the regroups look to come on through, but I'm not expecting anyone to go down just yet. Blank, there are so many opportunities to go for these regroups.
Falak taking the knock there and the flush, but we're happy to see him in the fight. Bit of a weird one here for Thrives, because this is the team that quite likes to drop over towards Neox Factory. They gave up on that. They've moved down towards that southwest side, towards Yulin. I think part of that is choosing that playing path. Not really ideal to go over towards Neox Factory, but it is funny. You only get 2 teams there, and I think it's exactly like you say, John. Teams are really taking today at face value in terms of it being incredibly difficult to mitigate that variance. So the way to do it here is you play a slow Rondo. You try and get as many consistent points as possible. You ignore those teams getting all these points in the early game and hope you can make it towards that late game.
But someone is potentially going to earn a whole lot of points. Furia wanting to add 1 more to the tally with Joel going down. Aurora going to have to go for another recall there. Top, we saw him earlier beam down a player on the southwest side, and it looks like they're not really going to go for those rotates. They do have quite a decent position closer to the circle. Might look to try and recall up there. Boars in the meantime, Blank a little bit further over towards Stadium, west of Neox Factory, are going to be back and forth with S2G. Now Boars seem to be on the back foot. The nades pouring on in through the windows.
They are answered, but nothing really finding its mark right now. Finally, some damage come through from a nade, but Vagnazada's on the back. Snoix playing it quiet on the ground floor, might be able to catch a player unawares, and nearly Vagnazada goes down, but no, he just about stays alive on a sliver. Snoix still holding his nerve, waiting for a corner to turn, not going to hop in just yet, spots one as he darts through the window. I don't think that they saw him in response either, Blank. And he's waiting. He hears these footsteps. Huge. One on the broadside. Looks for another. Second to breach through. It's from the back. He needs to worry, though. And now he'll be back into the plane almost immediately on the recall.
Yeah, it does go down now, unfortunately. But almost had the slip on them. I think Snoix has been putting a huge amount of work behind the scenes alongside Vagnazada as well as Robs. You know, this team has really been trying to get things into contention. Terminus looks like a good player on the team, but I do think this guy needs to bring the levels up a little bit to closer towards Robs as well as the other boys on boards. But overall, a pretty good team. Pandem now up against the Flash, a similar situation they faced before here. Win on the front side towards Zeus, sending some nades in over towards Leo.
Pandem with 3 players in location. Here to test track, just on the outskirts of it. Team Flash. Putting nades forwards. Furia getting lit up in the Elim feed in the meantime as well. Jubran holding the cross, doesn't quite spot the player. The smoke bloomed in time. The shotgun now around the corner, jousting back and forth, and Jubran able to win out that trade. And able to get away pretty healthy as well there. Nice and tight amongst it. Team Flash going to lose one. Zeus is down, but they can definitely still get him back up. They just need to make their way to a recall tower. There's the hop forwards for Leon, trying to get some more extracted from Team Flash. If they can keep these points coming on through, they're looking to try and raise the bar on Rondo.
And they are. Flash, they went down to a 3-man in their final match in their region, but were still able to put up a fantastic performance, getting themselves that #1 spot. So going down to 3-man here, it doesn't feel like it's going to hurt them too much. They are up against Pandem at the moment, though, who are doing a good job to pen them in. Win looks to hit this challenge well, but won't quite find it. Luckily, Bozy is here as backup. We'll find one player in Leon's.
Hopping through the window now, a 1 versus 1, Jubran versus Bozy. Not too important to go for the res here. Will actually allow the flush. More important to be on the trigger, but he's not going to be able to find it. Pandem win out the fight with 3 players alive. They will again get Leon back up. They win out the trade. 3 elims on the tally for Pandem.
Tapping the shots off here as well. I'd say that's a little bit of vindication felt for them there after their last matchup against Flash in their region. But good stuff. Aurora. This is a team that a lot of players are very worried about, and a lot of fans at home are cheering for. They're a slow starter usually, but the 5 elims they have so far, not a very good indicator for that. It looks like they're coming off the blocks looking very, very speedy.
Yeah, and over towards Yulin Gardens. They only have Horror to deal with now, but they might want to get a move on fairly soon with the circle moving up towards the north side. Clearing this one out is going to be great. They add a 6th point to that tally, Blank, and they are looking pretty fearsome. Reefus leading the charge with 3 elims already, doing a lot of work for the roster, and they'll be happy with that. Horror looking to get those recalls out. They've got an outpost over on the east side, but the recall towers are going to start to get occupied towards the center of the circular area, so you might have to go a little bit further afield to get your players back now.
I love the way that Aurora has developed over the years, where you've got the likes of Doc, Top, Zyol on that team, all players with huge name value, and it was always Reefus. It felt like he was catching them up all the time. This guy is now full-blown MVP caliber. From his 4-man nade in the final match to hit the smash, to now looking extremely good on the main stage with 3 elims and finding himself 1 more there. It just looks phenomenal. 7 elims for Aurora Gaming. Oh, I think they're going to be just going straight for it today.
With a west shift on the circle, they do have access to the southwest portion of this zone that a lot of teams may not be able to get to quite fast. But Aurora have been fighting this whole time. They haven't been grabbing those vehicles. They are a lot less mobile now, and that is what they should be worried about. Teams are going to start to get in front of them.
Now, we haven't had much chance to actually talk about the circle, to talk about the rotations. That's understandable. It is Rondo. It's action-packed. But what we're looking at right now for Aurora, it's not a terrible rotation in for them on the western side. They can make their way up, swing through, they're right on the edge. Most teams are playing on the northeast here, which is a little bit strange considering that initial playing path. I think Aurora Gaming, though, they've kind of taken out a lot of their competition on this southwest side. Obviously, they'd like to see another south shift on this one if they want to get something good done, but I like this heavy rotate coming in from Boars. They are quick, they are fast to the mark, straight towards the center of the circle. On this western side, a little bit of terrain to play around with.
I think they're on control of a recall as well, so a nice position to stop teams, if not use it for themselves, to stop other teams from using it. A very important position to hold on that southwest point, potentially very profitable. Oh, the EMP zone's just popped up blank on the north.
Yeah, EMP zone's going to be a bit of an issue for some of our teams, especially on that northern side. It has limited rotations a little bit, makes it slightly more difficult to make that full send towards the center. Dissipated now, so teams can start to get themselves a little bit of a move on. Alpha 7 is marshalling that north side right now, though. They've got E-Arena underneath them. E-Arena, definitely not a team to be scoffed at either. Looking fantastic at the moment. But in this game, 0 points. Just yet, but they are a full 4-man. They are towards the center of the circle. Hope they can start to pop off a little bit soon.
There's only one team with 2 players alive, and that is Team Flash, who are struggling to get a recall, it seems. They're up on the north side of the stadium, so could potentially go in there. In the meantime, Alola, Furia. Ooh, what a turnaround there, quick. Able to do a lot of damage to Furia. This is over near the south point of Test Track as well. And the recall opportunities are going to start to become a little bit slimmer over time. Alola on the front foot of this fight, but a nice nade from Chief, able to get an answer back in through the door. And that's going to maybe slow Alola down on their roll. Furia happy to see a little bit of a falter in the step. But can either team swipe fully through the other roster blank? It, again, as I say, may be impossible now to go for these recalls with the density of teams we're seeing.
Yeah, it gets very difficult. You need to have full control of that position to make it happen. Circle does move over towards the eastern side, which gives a real good chance towards our teams on that center edge. Looks very good for the likes of S2G. Ida also moving in. Our Turkish teams mainly, it seems here, are having a good time of it.
Good now.
Chief for more, able to find one on the hop. Needs to get back behind cover. That was risky going for the flash, but it comes off good. And now Chief with a second challenger. Might have to try and find something pretty deep on this one. Furia branching out all the way into the blue to try and make it work quick. Wants to shut him down on the inside, but Chief's not giving up without a fight. Won't go down without swinging once or twice, but will fall in the end. Not able to do the damage to get another knock there. And Alola claimed the south side of Test Track.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, that is a really, really hard fight to win as well. For Alula, that's what I would call an upset. But the boys over on Furia, it's kind of the successors to the Team Liquid squad, right?
Everyone like
they
and
have
sub, like and sub, like and
extremely
sub,
good
like
players
and sub.
on that team.
Everyone like
Not
and
being able to
sub.
win against Alula is a rough position to be in there. But they should be able to get themselves back up on their feet, back into action. They're down towards the south side, got themselves a bit of a recall towards Igor as well as Ayala.
Got to find a spot to go for it though, Blank, and that's not super easy right now. Team Flash are trying to send on through. They only have 2 players, and they are putting all of their eggs into this basket on the south side, trying to get through this roadblock. Maybe make their way out towards a recall, potentially. Over towards Yulin, maybe? That's still technically open, but no, okay. They're committing to playing as 2.
Play the shack here.
4 units already.
Yeah, it's the best thing you can do. I think honestly, once you get to this stage of the game, you're sort of forced to play this sort of style. Try and get as many points as possible. Confirm yourself up towards that top 6, which will get you through from the groups. Look at the map feed, though. It's a strange part of the map. Honestly, you look over towards that western side, a lot of fielded areas around here, around Boars. For Boars, I think it's most important for them to clear this portion of the map. They will likely be looking over to 4 Thrives. Falak has just arrived on the scene towards their northwest. If they can clear him, their movement over towards the east becomes a little bit easier.
Alola now have to fight through Aurora with their outposts. A lovely shot from, actually this comes through from Reefus, okay. I thought it was top. It turns out it's Reefus. You were singing his praises earlier. He wants a little bit more of that sauce as he to layer it down on top of Alola. One more player on the inside there, trying to make their way through.
Nightmare.
4 players are alive for Alula, and there's potential for them to still get a recall, but it's going to be really, really tough, as it will shut down an opportunity. The backline's being solidified as well by Doc for Aurora, playing that more adjusted, supportive role.
It's a great position to play for Doc as well. He's playing elevation right now. He's gathering as much information as possible. They're mainly looking to control this southeast side. Once again, the circle moves away from them, up towards that north edge, towards Team Vicious. Now, Team Vicious actually has a surprisingly damn good squad. The likes of Narvala on one side, Koa, a lot of names you'd recognize from Western Europe, playing from a different region this time around. But this is a good squad. I like the way that they formed this team. Seems like they've got a lot of synergy on board as well from watching their regionals.
See if they can bring that to bear on the world stage. Alula still going for this fight. Yasa is down, but 3-8 wanting to find those angles a little bit faster. Aurora do have to leave this position blank, so it's not really a holdout at this point. 721 having a tough time against Go, because they are getting lit up. The nades, the volleys are just sailing on in, and there's S2G as well chiming in. Okay, yeah, Vicious are there to party too. It is a tough spot, and I don't really see 721 getting out of this.
Yeah, it's sort of like mini Hung Shan, honestly, over towards this side of the map. It's an area that can hold quite a lot of teams inside of it, but it's pretty sparse, pretty open, not too fun to play around with. So for teams getting over here, it's a bit of a mad send. 4 Thrives, though, they do manage to get a send on towards the north side of things. They're currently playing with 2 players, though, which is a tough thing. I think that for 4 Thrives, a bit of survival options right now. Having Falak up and alive, though, is useful. Those CQC grenades are going to come mighty handy for the squad right now.
Oh, you're definitely going to need them. Aurora on the send out. They're happy with their tally of 7. They're going to move away from the test track South Point and move over to a really important part of the map. They've just gone straight central and unchallenged.
Yeah, unchallenged indeed. A lot of scouting coming through from top, apparently. He saw the lines. He saw the vision. Moved straight through. There was absolutely no clap back from any other squad. Retaliation nowhere to be seen. Aurora Gaming moves in. They've dropped a ton of emergency cover flares here. They're trying to light up the lobby in a big way. They've taken quite a bit of damage so far. They're towards half HP at the moment, but they're looking to recover on this. Doc consistently having to move around the edges of the Doritos.
These are the angles that you were talking about, but being so surprised that weren't clapping. That's Panda, that's Alula on the north and on the east. Just doing nothing to slow them down. Really interesting approach to that one. Boars are going to crash into the compound in the meantime as S2G look to defend. A nice opener, 1-for-1 on the trade. Boars are happy to storm through the gates here, but they may lose Terminus in the process. A nade in, looked like it might have done a little bit more, and there's more shots ringing out over towards S2G as Horror get involved out towards that east side, and in he goes. Robs with the shotgun. Name a more fearsome duo.
Hey man, we were talking before the event started. We were talking about the shotgun, saying he's the shotgun king, and he said, I'm going to deliver this tournament. And he certainly has already from the inside of the building. He's a terrifying player to come up against. If he's got an S12K, if he's got a pump shotgun, and if he's got the DBS, you are in trouble.
S2G, S2 going, S2 gone. They are the first team to drop here in a vital map. And they are not going to be too happy about that one. So we'll see if Ida can keep the banner running for Turkey.
It's kind of an interesting one as well. What a name from Storks over the top. It lights Horror up. They were not expecting that one. High ground control completely eliminated there. But for Boars, it's interesting because S2G, they had a run-in with them earlier. They must have known the general path they took. They were able to recuperate, restabilize, and get straight back into the mix. Good stuff from Boars.
And they get the points to prove it. And they're on the south side now with the circle shifting up north. Will have to make a dash for it. Fury are moving in on the west side. Could be a challenge into the center of the circle there as well. Might be dangerous to make these maneuvers. Horror trying to go toe-to-toe now with the Boars. Of course, those recalls are now completely unavailable. They have been shut down, so no more getting your players back up and onto their feet. Aurora still giving it large over onto Furia from the opposite side of those compounds. We see those maneuvers over towards the central area as Horror get to a bit of a standstill with Boars.
It was a good thing that we had no fear getting himself up towards the top side of the building as quickly as he did, because they lost that aerial superiority. In the meantime, Irina up against the Flash, able to take them down, and Flash will fall with 4 points despite a decent start to their game here. That is not where you want to fall here on the Rondo. The first one of the day, this is where you can pick up a lot of those points, get yourself an early buffer.
I have to question the decision to not go for a recall that early for Team Flash going down to 2. I think they have the opportunity to do so. It is not going to work out on this time around. I'm going to say the same thing about 4 Thrives as well. I think they were 2 fairly early on. They made a big push down towards the south, and they're not prioritizing the recall, which I find interesting here. We'll see if 4 Thrives can profit more off of this match as another team falls. That's Furia out as they try and make their position in the center tenable. It will not prove to be so. Alpha 7 with a challenge now, with Etch bearing down upon them. Looks like they're doing okay, but it is not without scrapes, cuts, and bruises all over.
Alpha 7, the big squad, the big boys in the lobby. Looking for the Grand Slam here at PMGO Season 1. It is an incredible roster, coming off from a high from last year. Now looking to set the pace here over on Rondo. They came in from that north side, so they were slightly isolated. They haven't been in too many fights. The first time we're seeing them on camera so far. They're already finding themselves in a spot of bother, though. We're back on side with Boars. Turning K steps up to the plate, has a nade in hand. Boars are running for their lives.
Oh, they've sent up to this north side, leaving their position on the south. They're doing okay, though, Frank. They're doing okay. A big nade onto the back, and Schweppes falls as well. Damage is done to Magnazada. It will bring him down, but Snoix charges forwards, moving in to envelop the Fury laid down upon them by Irina's regroup. A nade onto the backlines, and there may still be a res here. It's going to be enough for Snoix to bring it down, and there goes another for Irina. A beautiful hold for Boars, but the blue zone will not give them a break.
Yeah, I mean, Boars got to keep moving here. They just about get themselves in one vehicle. They're going to try and move out, try and create an anchor point for the rest of the squad. Great shots over towards Mormon. That was the big problem. He's down to very low HP, trying to get the first aid kit off, realizes he has no time, and Boars somehow, some way, get themselves into the circle.
Magnazada, the sacrificial lamb there on the southwest side, but he will be the cost that they pay for a very solid position. Points now starting to rack up for Boars. They're on to 4. There's Aurora, who did go down to 2 in that central location. A little bit leg swept on that one. Unfortunate, but Pandem able to step up to the north side. I mean, I said Pandem right there. It's going to be the big opportunity here to put massive points on the board. They're on the top of the tables when it comes to Elim's Horror, struggling to weather the storm. As forwards, the Goats charge. It will be Horror falling down. There was an answer, though. A knock over towards Goat team, but I don't think anyone's going to capitalize.
Yeah, a bit too much there for Horror to handle. Another Vicious, like you say, look to get some nades over the top. It's a good time to try and stymie the approach here coming through from Goat. They're one of the direct competitors on that south side, but the Vicious, they can wait things out. The difficulty is that 4 Thrives on their front side, as is Aurora Gaming. These are 2 wildcard teams with 2 players each. Doc, though, gets a nade in the window. T24 is down. The Falak might be receiving the same.
Oh, the answer doesn't come through from 4 Thrives. Instead, from Pandem, who are making their north side pressure felt. A nice outpost coming through as they make sure that 4 Thrives have a little bit more to say into this game. And Doc going down is pretty nasty for Aurora, leaving them just on Reefus.
Yeah, trying to get over towards the bowl here. It's the best thing you can do. Try and step up, get a position for the Reefus to move up here. If Reefus can get to Doc, a res is possible. The sightlines within the bowl here are not great for a lot of teams, and you can kind of hide yourself away, but it's getting there that is the issue. Good shot there from Reefus over to one of the players on the Vicious. He might just make it through on the barest amount of life. Gets towards his buddy Doc and is looking to pick him up here. Revo finding shots over towards Darkin. It's an instant flush from his side. 600 damage on the game for Evo.
He's going to be able to find a little bit more on the north side. Plenty of fight stepping his way. Ida wants to find a bite back over towards them. With Ida on the west side, Blank, they are in a solid spot to hold. They want to hold that ridgeline to their south because the Boars are going to try and push over fairly soon as well. And they're going to have to be worried about that too. Look at the Doritos littering the parking. Oh dear, no parking available for any cars, but Goats not going to be worried about that. They're surging forwards, but a side swipe comes through. A massive light up comes in. Everybody's chiming in, and the Goats get cut in half on their push.
Yeah, decimated there. Reefus even got involved. Just picked up Doc here. He will get instant re-knock. Bay goes down there to Reefus too. He is just not giving up this game. This man is on a thread right now, but refuses to finish his run. Dimsy though, Pandem, like you said, they had a good run in from this eastern side. Doc as well as Reefus looking to finish off the final players here from Go, or at least get some more points off the back of them. But it is Toblerone Valley over on that side of the map. The amount of Doritos is oppressive on those sightlines. Luckily, they're going to be out the zone soon.
One more knock over towards Goats, and that's Pandem up to 11 now. They are really starting to gather momentum. Up he steps and down he goes. No way Goats are getting away from that one. Doc is still down in the middle of the bowl as Reefus tries to pick it back up. The Boars are trying to move on through now, trying to fight off against Vicious, doing a lot of damage, but not quite finding the final tick. There it is. The nail is going to land square into the edge of the coffin, but the Vicious are now flagging. Look at how low they all are.
I mean, good run from Boars, though. You got to respect it. I mean, they were fighting the entire time, but the circle comes down towards this. The Vicious were just able to hold on just that little bit longer. Ida's going to come in from that western side. Revo looking mighty strong over towards the northwest at the moment. 600 damage, and that is just counting up right now.
You just want to keep those tallies rolling. MVP, maybe in his mind already. We'll see. Pandem on 13 on the north side. Oh man, this is a real big breakout for them, and in a command seat of this circle.
It's just snaffling up points everywhere they can. They have been so present inside this lobby. We talk a lot about rondos, how you just cannot be passive, right? And I think that despite Pandem's position on this eastern edge, you would think to yourself, these guys aren't getting a lot of eliminations here. Suddenly, they're on 13 E-Live. They have been capitalizing on this endgame, and they just keep going.
More and more, but Fourth Rise managed to pick one back, I think, as they are picking up the points where they can. Fourth Rise finally do go down. Jubran looking to try and take the Vicious out of it entirely, and the Vicious will fall. That one, I think, yeah, that goes towards Ida. So, no extra point for Pandem, but there are still a couple more for them to earn. We'll see how far they can go, because right now, it is looking like the tide is undeniable.
Yeah, still, but Reefus, though, at least secures the team a minimum of 4 extra placement points on this game. He has been looking very, very good this match. Real boon to the team. Ida makes the mad dash in. It's the best they can do here. Try and look for a dip created by the nades. Work off the back of that. Alpha 7, though, a little bit quieter on this northwest side. Clearing ahead, you can see Pandem, the 44% on the winner-winner chicken dinner percentage. I'd agree with it.
It's looking pretty good for them right now. Alpha 7 trying to move forwards. The potholes from these nades for Ida are giving them a significant amount of cover here. Alpha 7 may be giving them a helping hand with that bombardment, but in goes Reefus. Yeah, they know he's here. There's no way. There's no way he gets further forwards than this, right? Surely not.
Yeah, the cover flare, it just isn't in either. So he's going to have to push out his He's just hoping Dimsy peeks him and then he can make a run across. Basically relying on the gun skill here. Throws out a last-minute nade, but that will be Aurora Gaming going down. 8 eliminations, 4 points, 12 points on the match. It's not a bad start to their day here.
Ida and Alpha 7 needing to settle their differences, or Pandem will just run away with this one. Look at the high ground ridge they've got against these two teams, Blank. It is a shooting gallery out there for them. They're looking to rack up a 20 elim chicken dinner on the first game of the day, potentially put themselves into the top 6 and stay there no matter what happens.
I mean, we all say if you get a massive game on Rondo here during this initial Group A, it's almost a guaranteed top 6. Right, if you can continue to just do a little bit throughout the rest of the day, you are living life to the large. So for Alpha 7, they've got to make good use of this rock, but the circle moves down towards the south side, pulls them out, and suddenly all these holes that Alpha 7 made earlier are a big issue for them. They created the cover for Ida.
They've got to play a game of whack-a-mole here, Blank. It is going to be Ida popping up, popping down. You never know where they're going to be coming from. It is dangerous to try and move out, but then you've also got Pandem with a big hill that sit on top of you and say, you want to play whack-a-mole? We're taking your mallet away. You just can't play at this point if you're Alpha 7. It is nasty business.
The big deal right now for Alpha 7 is there is hard cover to work around with. Whether it's in the circle or not is a very, very different idea. There's a good nade from Revo. Again, he's just revving it up this match and he just keeps going. The nade comes back. It's off target. It's towards Carrillo. Guizhou looking to get the res off, but Pandem, they see their opportunity and they look to strike.
And they want to add those points, remember? Those points, if they go down now, go down towards Ida. And they do not want to let that happen. You want those points in your bank. Push yourself even further beyond. Guizhou looking for those reses. The nades are bombarding back from Alpha 7. May be able to find him, but in come Pandem. The side swipe comes through. They are marshalling their forces. They are not going to let these points get away from them. Now Revel goes down, and Pandem slurp the whole milkshake.
This is just everything going their way. They've got tons of utils still left remaining. Pandem looking to secure it right now in the first game of the day here. There's nothing clapping back towards them. There's no retaliation, and it's over. Pandem with a massive game one.
What a way to break it out. First day, first match. They are here to play on their home turf, Pandem. But the Pandem in Pandemonium, they go crazy.
Insane stuff. I mean, for them, this is just such an easy day for the rest of it. That buffer is very hard to catch up to going forward. For Alpha 7, it's not a terrible game. They showed that they're still some of the best in the lobby, some of the best in the world, but versus that position that Pandem had, it is so difficult to work with. They almost created that little foxhole as well for Ida to play around with, and that sort of came back to bite them like the fox itself.
Unfortunate stuff, but yeah, Alpha 7 getting in late. Ida doing pretty well as well, getting in late. We had Aurora commanding for a lot of it.
Look,
until they had to move.
There's only one thing to say right now. Oh my God, these are some amazing teams in Group A. There's a reason why it's called the Group of Death.
Yeah, it's very, very great stuff. Great plays, great rotations, pretty good decisions being made. It all looks clean. It all looks decisive. It all looks
nice
cohesive.
PUBG Mobile.
Absolutely. Took the words right out of my brain. That is fantastic stuff coming through from Pandem. They've had a great start, and now they are going to command from the top of the tables. Will anyone be able to assault that position and join them in the top 6? We'll see you guys in the next match.
If you're asking the question if hometown advantage is a thing in PUBG Mobile, this game just proved it. A massive win for the hometown heroes of Pandem and for Indonesia as a whole. This is the Group of Death Boys, and they just popped off.
I mean, Rondo is their empire, and their reign of terror continues. They've done it back in PMGO Indonesia on the very last game to qualify here. And you know what? That one game might just be their ticket for the finals, because it's a high elimination game too with that chicken dinner. And the execution macro-wise, a thing of absolute beauty here.
And I gotta give you credit. You were able to call it when we were watching this match. You said if they were able to clear Alula, they would just be having so much freedom there towards the east of the map, and that's what happened wonderfully. And you said it too. I mean, for this squad, great start for Indonesia as well here in the hometown.
I'm really happy with the performance, but exactly, if they get rid of Alula, they knew they were going to win it, because so many teams are just over to the western side of the road, and especially in that southern compound, just all busy in fighting each other. They were just chilling at the very end, able to actually get a few more eliminations too. They played aggressive. I was scared, Hot Troops, they might play a bit more passive, not willing to go for those extra limbs, but man, oh man, Leon in particular, he's sent it.
You literally were like, okay, Leon, calm down a little bit right here. This should be in the bag, but no, they wanted every single elimination they could possibly get. And Max, you were just talking about how powerful this squad is on Rondo. The biggest stage this year, they proved that they came to play.
Oh, they get all the Rondo milkshakes every single time.
I drink your milkshake!
Oh, yeah, but at the end of this play here, a little bit of an overpeak right here. So we were talking about it. I think it was for Guizhou in particular that went a little bit too far and did get punished.
Yeah, Guizhou overextending there. I thought he was going to be able to maybe pop back a little bit more, pick up that other player that was knocked, but ultimately he ended up being Revo. But for Alpha 7, what a performance to even be able to survive Bamboo, because at one point they were just being cornered and they didn't look like they were going to be able to make it out. something to keep in mind, though, from Alpha 7 is they played so passive at the start until they finally decided to end up making a push on, I think it was Circle 5 on ETSH, but they ended up losing one player.
Normally you go in Bamboo, you don't come out alive from Bamboo. So indeed, as you said, really good podium finish from the entirety of Alpha 7. But here we go with the overall player stats. And my boy Jubrenki putting up the numbers, followed also with Frenzy and Leon getting 6 eliminations apiece. But Leon, when it comes to SEA, he's a standout player with that utility, and those grenades and Molotovs, those were good to wrap up that match.
Man, they were just straight money. I love the fact that, you know, when you get to such a big stage here, you know, the nerves can kick in. You know, you might have that slight hesitation in some big decision moments, but on Rondo, Pandem, they didn't hesitate at all, and they shut things down here.
Boys, 19 eliminations?
Woo!
Are you kidding me? To start off the day, too, especially with how much we've been hyping up. I honestly, I was kind of joking around a little bit when I said, show me that 20 elim match with 10 points that you'll get from that chicken dinner. Boy, did they end up performing. You can see there Leon with the MVP, and yeah, I mean, he was scaring us a little bit there towards the end, but the confidence just came in full flush.
I mean, it was a really strong position, maybe overly aggressive, but all of the nades of Alpha 7 and also the other side were just completely used up, right? So they were not able to really fight back efficiently, so he was really safe with that utility, and peeking so beautifully too. So his peaks were amazing, and because of that, he was one of the main catalysts for this chicken dinner on Pandem's side. And sure, one big game, but if they just get a few more points here, Hodrix on Orangle and on Miramar, boy, that top 6, it's locked in.
It's a lock at this point, all right? I mean, there's no way they screw this up at this point because, I mean, with a performance like this, you should be able to see them in those finals here because there's only 5 more matches left to go. These numbers are just crazy, Seven.
Talk about a lock when you have the top 3 players out of the top 4 players for Pandem right there. Not only Leon getting that MVP, we saw the stats from Frenzy, we saw the stats from Jubrenki, and it's just a full sweep for Indonesia because it is another player from Indonesia, a player that was able to win the Southeast Asia Finals, Seta from Boyne.
He was the MVP of this year, right? So they're definitely able to get himself some good points. 29 points are coming out from Pandem. Insane stuff, but hey, Aurora not trolling really on the first game. And no stepping up, able to clear the entirety of Yulin against Aurora, using that strat of having Top going for the quick recall, and then joining the fray in Yulin itself. They got rid of Furia, then Hora. Man, that was a great hot drop for the entirety of Mongolia.
Yeah, that's how you got to get it done right there. I mean, you know, we saw them put up some serious eliminations right off the rip for Aurora. Unfortunately, they weren't able to finish it off there, but they put some points on the board. 12 to start things off is definitely not something to shake your head at here, Seven.
Let's rewind it a little bit. You said series eliminations, 10 minutes into the match. They were already up to 7 eliminations. We do have to talk about them a little bit in regards to a push that they were able to do that we didn't quite like because they ended up just crashing onto a fence that was just open on the parking lot, and they ended up being forced to use just all their cover flares.
Yeah, it was a good response. You get in the parking lot, it's very open, especially when you have teams like Pandem that literally have the game-winning position right up north of you. So they used all the cover flares, which was a good idea, but unfortunately, cover flares can only take you so far, and it was down to just Refus. Again, the guy just keeps keeping Aurora in the conversation, but at the end, the Rondo win does head the way of Pandem.
I mean, that's what you got to do at that certain point, right? I mean, Alpha 7, they were there on that edge. I think they did a good job for the position they had, right? They put up some good points on the board, but Pandem just proved here that if they have that dominant position, they are not going to lose it, Seven.
Yeah, and Alpha 7 show what happens when you end up getting blessed by the circle, because my goodness, that was a blessing if I've ever seen one. And yeah, Pandem, I mean, the way that they were able to play, you already mentioned it, Max, too, and I'm just going to double down on it. I love the way that they were able to just execute that. They were aware of where everybody was, and they were able to take full control of the map. Now, I want to see them, if for some reason the opportunity comes about where they can actually do that again, whether it's in Erangel or maybe later today we end up seeing that in Miramar. I want to see that kind of consistency now to some of the other teams that we ended up seeing there on the leaderboard towards the bottom. I want to talk about 4 Thrives. I was expecting a lot out of this squad. 4 Thrives, they're used to known to being able to perform really well. A very low start for this squad. In regards to eliminations, they didn't really have many. They ended up finishing the match, if I'm not mistaken, with just 2 eliminations. So I don't know what's happening there, but the main question and the main thing that's always hindered this squad is that mental. And with only 6 matches, now 5 matches, you can't really get into your head about it.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of, you know, rough performances, S2G, first team out in this one. And you know their rivals, Alpha 7, did good. What do you think's going through their head here, Seven?
with their owner doing a watch party, you best believe they're probably like, we got to perform. If not, they're probably going to end up switching us out because that squad loves to change their rosters every single month.
Yeah, I mean, it was very unfortunate because Boars initially go for a fight onto them, and they initially have a really good defense, right? Able to actually get a few knocks onto it, but then Hora were very opportunistic. Fully send it right back into the compound. And not only that, they had, I believe it was Jiggle, who was onto the mountaintop, trying to also get an off angle, so they can't even leave the buildings without getting instantly shut down. So Hora, sure, only gets 7 eliminations, no placement points, but the overall aggressiveness and also passiveness and the macro around the map was just well executed again for the first global event from Nepal in a long, long while.
I'm with you. I got to double down on that point that you just made. For them to be able to adapt the way that they were able to do, to make those pushes, to make that third party, to have the awareness to live that last player on that mountain, making sure that he didn't overpeak, because even though there was 2 players from Furia looking there, if you would have gotten knocked, that's not a position that you want to be able to put your other teammates in. So great awareness out of Hora. They might not end up getting the win, but it's a good showing nonetheless.
It was also not just an off angle to be aggressive on Boar and also S2G. If they wanted to leave, which eventually they did because of the circle, they go to the anchor point player, which was Jiggle on the mountaintop. So it was an aggressive position, but also that kind of saved the day in case they do have to play it a bit more slowly.
Love to see that kind of macro play there. You got to know when to flip on that aggressive switch and when to say, hey, you know what, this ain't
charging.
Let's back off and live a little bit longer here, because this is it. We got 5 more matches left to go. Bottom 2 teams are out of here. We're going into Erangel, though, right? Now, when it comes to Erangel, we got to talk about something here that's been meta changing completely, and that's the loot truck, Max, man, right? Just how huge is this going into Erangel?
Oh, I love myself some loot truck goodness. You got 4 of those happening all over the place in Erangel. Teams dropping in Saverni, Yasnai Polyana, inside of Pachinki can have a big advantage. And actually, as I talk about Yasnai Polyana, I believe we're going to have Hora versus Team Flash happening over there. And there's a bit of drama online that they might actually commit to the fight. And if you do win the fight, you get 4 eliminations and access to a loot truck here, 7. That's a big early game win.
Hear me out. Even though Team Flash, I think they ended up getting some eliminations this match, they didn't end up having a good rondo. And if there's anything we know about hot drops, and especially with, I have to keep saying this, especially with only 6 matches now, 5 matches left, you don't want to waste that time. You really don't want to get into an ego battle here over just a point. You have to have those backup places where you're going to end up landing.
Yeah, it's going to get a little bit hectic there.
Go
Hopefully they don't commit, because
somewhere
Yasnai Polyana,
together.
in particular, is a city where you can have 2 teams. You don't have to commit for it. If a fight does happen, it's purely out of ego.
You don't
Though,
look
just to wrap up my point on the loot truck, which is where the conversation initially began, you're going to see late games with so many P90s and maybe a few MG3s. It's absolutely mental. The loot truck, if you do go to the main locations where it spawns early, it gives you such a significant advantage that you can take any fight at that point and possibly come out on top.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if that's going to spark an engagement against Ryan here, because, I mean, that loot truck is pretty broken. I mean, in the games I've played, you go and you get that thing, you're fully out, so much ammunition. The whole looting phase is pretty much just done right there and there. So we're going to see how that's going to work out here. But, you know, we're going into Erangel. This game is, I think, extra huge for the teams that didn't perform well in Rondo. I think they really need to bounce back here early, because we're going to see some of these top squads continue to dominate here, Max.
Yeah, it's going to get really hectic. You've got 3 Erangels back to back to back. It is your bread and butter. So any team that took a massive L on Rondo, this is their time to redeem themselves, because normally group stage, you don't make it to finals, don't worry, you still got the next stage. You know, if you're bottom 2, you're fully out. You're eliminated on day 1 of PMGO Season 1 2026, which, of course, 7, you don't want that to happen to your favorite squad.
I want to see some teams starting to be a little bit more aggressive, especially just kind of set the pace here in this match. If they do end up getting in a position, kind of like what Pandem was able to do in this last match of Rondo, I want to see them being able to do that too. And I mean, if we're calling out teams there towards the bottom, Hodjux, you gotta call out S2G. Hey, we didn't plan this, but it ended up happening. If you're seeing S2G, if you for some reason can hear us, we need to see a reaction out of you here as we're going into the first Erangel.
Here we go, baby. We're going into Erangel, the main map here in PUBG Mobile. Let's see how this is all going to turn out here. Remember, guys, there is only 5 more matches left to go.
And with this playing path right now, I mean, you know Aurora's going to end up going military, and I'm wondering where all the other teams are going to be going, because Fairy Pier might end up being contested. Just Naya, we're not really going to have to worry about this one as much, but I'm looking at Milton Power as well.
I mean, Yasnai Polyana is out of reach for some of these teams like Flash. Hora, are they going to try and go for a secondary option? This is the perfect playing path to have a secondary drop location up your sleeve, just in case this kind of situation comes your way. Of course, you have a very southern playing path That means Aurora, they drop Military Island.
Yes.
That is their main location on all the battlegrounds on Erangel. That is their bread and butter. If they get a circle off the back of that too, man, oh man, that could be a big Aurora win.
It depends where they end up getting the circle as well, because you can see GOAT is going to end up going towards Novo too, and we know GOAT can be aggressive with what we just saw them do, especially in Rondo. You don't want to end up getting too long or taking too long there looting in military base. We have seen this in the past from Aurora when they were APG, so they got to be aware of that.
I mean, don't think about, also you got to think about it for GOAT. Moxie will get the
guys.
Well, let's get it going, guys. Going into Erangel. Let's go ahead and take it on over to our casters, John Allen and Blake.
Thank you so much, Hot Jukes. We are ready for our first Erangel, but I wasn't ready for that blank. The circle just gives us the fright of a lifetime.
I mean, this plane path into this circle is absolutely devastating to so many squads here. It's a really, really rough start to the day here on Erangel for our teams. A super southern plane path into a heavily eastern shift on this one, with still chance to head down towards Sosnovka here. It's not out of the realms of possibility. For Alpha 7, like the guys on the desk were talking about, it's very important to have those alternate drop spots, and Alpha 7, they have quite a few. They've got Zaki, they've got Georgopol, they've got Lipovka, and here that really supports them, where they're able to instantly head over towards Lipovka. This is a very good spot to start from. They can move down towards the crates on the roadside. This is a very easy-peasy game here for Alpha 7.
Well, to start off, right? Yes. Because it is going to get tough. There are a lot of teams going to be shunting into the southeast side of the mainland here. Pivotal points include places just north of Milta, around that Lumberyard Hill. Controlling the rotations along that stretch of land will be so important to make sure that you're keeping all of your players alive in that location. That's teams like S2G, like Alpha 7 on the north side of all of that up and towards Prison, as well as potentially looking at control over a bridge when you get closer down towards Milta. That could be important in the future.
I mean, for GOAT, Aurora, you're absolutely right. Having control towards that eastern bridge, super important here. It's a really, really big factor for how this game's going to progress, because you know a lot of teams are going to go for that southern rotate. It's a rotate that makes sense a lot of times. If you can squeeze in on this western side early, it works out quite well. Alula's already tried to go for something like this. They've headed down towards the Dead Woods, just towards that northwest side of Mini Milta. Not a lot of loot down here, though. I mean, they can play up towards Lumberyard. That's a potential. But they're not going to be getting a huge amount of crazy loot on board early in this game, but they have position, so that's the trade-off.
They may be able to find one or two goodies in the process, but it is going to be tough for them. Over in South George, one of our furthest dropping teams, and out late on the plane, remember, it went from east over to west. E-Arena probably were one of the tougher rotations coming into this one, but they might wait for that second circle, wait to for it to give a little bit more clear intention moving into this one, and see if they can find that one going. Leon obviously topping those damage numbers there, breaking that 1,000 barrier for Pandem, and they will sit pretty atop the pack right now. A lot of points on offer this match, not quite as many as over on Rondo.
Rondo is always a fire starter, though, really, and the fire is just getting started as we're going to get ourselves into a bit of a bonfire towards the end of the day, looking towards our top 6 who will remain around that bonfire. Maybe cooking some marshmallows, you know, quite happy. They'll be moving straight through towards that grand finals, whilst the other teams will be heading through to survival stage, which is brutal. Like we say, a 4-team finish there at the top there is really quite rough for our squads. But we get a first elimination of the match, and it is over towards GOAT. We don't have any recall beacons this time around, so GOAT will be playing on as 3.
Yeah, they try and move into S2G turf. That's not going to go well for them. Although S2G have moved over towards a little bit more of a bridge command position here, Blank, which is interesting. They've decided to sequester themselves on the southeast side, the south side of Milta, to maybe get that overlook over towards the bridge approach. To sideswipe onto that angle. GOAT trying to control it as well. 7-2-1. They didn't start their first match too well. They got 0 points on the game. The only team, in fact, to go down on a big goose egg there. And that maybe something they're looking to change, but not quite able to connect on the spray. Alula, in the meantime, with Alpha 7. Two of our more central teams actually clashing as Alpha 7 goes south. Alula try and move all the way out to the east, and Guizhou is the casualty for it. Alula pushing all the way over the Lumberyard Hill.
It's greedy, right? I think that's the only way to describe this for Alpha 7. It is very greedy. They try to play through over towards Lipovka, which makes a lot of sense. You're trying to get these two players really looted up to assist you in that end game. So they've got the frags, so they've got the smokes. I think taking 2 buildings is too much from Alpha 7. They should have known there's going to be tons of teams heading down towards the southeast side. Everyone wants to try and commit a position around the dead woods, give yourself a nice rotation later on. But for Alpha 7, I think that knock and flush was totally unnecessary.
They certainly could have taken an opportunity to get a little bit more on board. The rest of Alpha 7 are moving south, and maybe they've got revenge on their mind, or maybe they're just trying to play on the east side of the circle, because a lot of the teams are going to be approaching from that west, and that's really what prompted Alula to actually go over that hill in the first place, right? The knowledge that everybody's going to be pushing in there.
Yep.
It's going to be really tough to hold out all of them. Let's give the better position, potentially, to another team who comes in a little bit later for our own survival.
Well, the thing is, in a weaker lobby, that play would have been totally acceptable for Alpha 7. But I think as we come into this year of 2026, we have so many tournaments this year with cracking teams, unbelievably good teams, over 4, 5 separate events. It is amazing to see. And Alpha 7, they're going to wise up here, realizing that they can't really be taking these similar tactics they would versus feeder team lobbies. They don't exist here.
You heard it here first. Blank called South American lobbies a feeder teams. You know, it's his words, not mine.
Hey, there's some
Well,
there's some in every region.
There are some in every region. Whichever team I'm on, mostly, it seems. Don't know why that is. Draw your own conclusions. Alpha 7 looking to try keep it together, but Revo is now the second casualty of their approach towards the south. Team Flash move in unabated, potentially with Aura breathing down their necks, but it's not going to stop them from taking these shots out. They're going to take these buildings from them. Alpha 7 have no choice in this game.
They've just haven't met the speed of the lobby yet.
Ooh.
And again, the players on side for Alpha 7 are very good, but it hasn't been the gun skill that's been letting them down. It's the macro here, 100%.
Rosie struggling here, needs to reload, doesn't have a lot of ammo, has to step in with the DBS. Will quiet it down a little bit, but Obscure was giving it a good go there. 2 players from the Team Flash are going to go.
In.
And yeah, Horror, they were up at the top of the hill. They were expecting this one to be a clean sweep, so they weren't stuck in earlier. But now, a big opening is presented. A res happening on the backline for Team Flash. A big nade to hold it. The forward position. Zeus is a stalwart defender, but it's just all too much. Horror able to crash down the door. The reses have now come on through, and 2 players from Team Flash looking to try and roll back on in. The off angle, Sleepy, not really going to have an impact now, as Top Z is into the fight. Sleepy regroups, knows that they need to keep it together as they lose one of their own. Forwards he goes, the nade, the knock, it's good.
But sadly, Horror will... Actually, they're able to get themselves back up to all 4-man. That's actually an incredible play from them. I'm actually very surprised. 3-man, sorry, apologies. Up to 3 players here, which is very, very good. I mean, losing 1 player isn't great, but the amount of third parties here, they've dwindled. All right, most of them have come through at this point. Aura was the last of them. Flash had to hit the Flash step there, but didn't quite happen. Weren't able to immediately get themselves back into position versus Obscure. Obscure actually has a huge impact on that fight because he was able to get knocks when it should have been an easy cleanup.
Let's take a look at this circle, Blank. It's gone over to the mainland, so we're cutting out that military island finish. It's a little bit kinder than the first circle shift. A lot of teams have already put themselves in position here, though, which means that not a lot of shuffling is going to happen at this stage. We're sort of already in that stage 2, in towards that stage 3 idea, moving forwards into this one. So surprisingly, not quite as dramatic a shift. The Boars looking to play on a very central position, looking pretty good with it, and all of the teams from that military island have crossed.
Ball's around Milton, right? But they're on the north side. They're not quite fully fixed in it just yet. Goat's in a little bit of a better position, but we still don't know where the circle's ending up. There's still a lot of water in here. There's still the bridge involved. It's difficult to know. If this heads down towards Milter Power, Mini Milter, becomes a little bit more difficult for these teams to rotate through. Alula, I think they're going to go for a gamble here. I don't think they're going to leave. You just want to secure this position. You've heard the amount of fighting around you. You know this should be a safe space to play.
They've got a lot of latitude over there. And again, it's that pressure from the west that they read into. They sent over that hill early. They are doubling down on that, like you said, taking that gamble. We'll see if it's going to pay off, though. There are plenty of other teams who want the top of this hill, who want this area around Milta. Ball's in command of it. The Vicious, they had a very central position in that previous rondo as well, playing on the edge of what would be the death sentence for everyone who wasn't Pandemonium. On that location, they had a good position. Aurora, we've got the pressure level up as well for you, a new little indication of how much pressure they're going to be feeling potentially in whatever location a team ends up being. It's looking around the 30% there, I think it was, 30 to 40% for Aurora, and they are fairly late on this rotate. They went west bridge to come into the west side of this circle.
We're not quite deep sea pressure just yet for their mild amount of pressure, right? We're just pressing down the forearm right now. It's not a big problem for them. Should be able to get themselves in here. Going through from that western side. Again, that shift back over towards the mainland really helped out a lot of teams. I think so many squads are worried this was going to end up over towards Milta Power. They tried to secure a location over there early, but we did cut out like a lot of teams earlier on. Alpha 7 just down to one player now. One team completely out in the flash earlier on, which is very sad for that team as they weren't able to put up a massive amount of points. Next circle does head direct Milta though. This is around Farm, this is around Milta. You still have those compounds on that western side that are playable and workable. It's just difficult, right? There's going to be a big old funnel around Prison on that north side as teams attempt to get themselves down. There's a fair amount of elevation on that southeast side. It's an interesting bit of terrain here and difficult to navigate.
I think this is good news for S2G. They were all the way on the south side of Milta. Everybody was crammed into the north. The fact that they're now very central is great for them. It means they don't have to move. It will take the risk out of it for them. Ida trying to move now around the edge of these hills. And at the moment, they're doing okay. They're on 4 players alive. They are just beneath Hora, who, remember, lost one of their players. And with Ida now ahead of them, it's going to be a difficult descent from that hill. But everybody else is out of that hill. They are moving so much closer to Milta.
It's difficult though, right? With the northeast side just blanketed in fields, how are you going to make this cross? How are you going to make these movements? You're dealing with Lumberyard right now. You don't have a load of information on that side of the map, so you're trying to navigate around there, skirt your way in. 721 doesn't want to move. Neither does the Vicious. Pandem's on that north side, and 4 Thrives are coming in. You wonder how much information Pandem has on 4 Thrives as they make their way down from that northern edge. You can see shots here coming through from S2G, trying to ruin the day of Alula, who did make this bit of a mad run across those fields early on, and that was when the circle shifted. That was probably the only time they were going to make that cross happen.
Absolutely. They managed to thread the needle there and get on in there. Playing, I think, as 3 now, as they have lost 1 on that crossing, on that move from the east side. And nobody will really be running them down at this point blank, so they do just need to weather the storms. And the big thing there is that teams aren't going to want to commit all of their nades at this point, right? So they can hold out for quite a while under very little threat of actually getting crashed. So the timing on it has paid off very, very well.
It's one of those things where, up until the end of the game, if you're playing in that fielded area, unless it centers up on that field, teams aren't going to want to put that much effort into dislodging you. This is not a great position to play right now. It's a workable spot. It's a placement-giving spot. Is it a game that's going to give you a ton of eliminations off the back of it? Probably no.
Unlikely stuff. 4 Thrives on the northwest side, playing from the angle close to Irina, just across the road, who are on a wide west side split. So not all of their forces are close to it. Aurora navigating very well. They're playing that roadblock to the northwest side of Milta. Looks like the Boars haven't been able to control that one. Despite having 4 players alive, they are much more concerned with staying alive. All as 4. You can see the circle sits dustily as the next one just about to pop. That west side. Ooh, 4 Thrives are poking their noses over the road, but have to get turned around there. No entry. Not allowed in. Circle up north on this.
What I'm really curious about here is how Aurora's going to play this, because Checkpoint is not fun. It really is not fun to play. It's a place that gets easily overwhelmed as more and more third parties come through. You could probably deal with the first team if you're Aurora Gaming, but as you can see, they all cross the road. They're looking to put themselves a little bit further over towards the hillsides on that northeast edge. That makes sense to me. You can still take shots towards the teams leaving Milta as well, but a good game, potentially again, for Pandem.
Yeah, it's going to be a big opportunity to just lock that one down even further. Irina Going toe-to-toe